This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.
Now this is really about the finishing of Pluto Capricorn, right? Even though it's 2024, but there is something to say about Mercury just close to the station before it retrogrades at 24. And it's going to be Venus and Mercury that will be together for the retrograde of Mercury on the 28th of December. So it's like, you know, this is a week away from a Mercury retrograde, and the fourth one of the year, already a year where we had at 1.6 planets retrograde. Talk about the year of retrogrades. It might not seem it because the Jupiter-Neptune energy was so big that it almost kind of makes you kind of think it's numb. Yeah, a little numb, but also how much has been brought in karmically or spiritually in order to align. It's not been what you've been doing exteriorly as much. It's almost like what has kind of been predetermined to show up, especially that this was a year of Venus retrograde, and that was in the last solstice chart was Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So it's like there is something to say about this Venus retrograde energy coming to a close because of the fact that Venus is now in the retrograde zone, and Mercury's going to retrograde over that. And it was Venus that retrograded close on top to Pluto, and now Mercury's going to retrograde basically on top of Pluto with Venus there. So there's like a lot that we're anticipating. There's a lot that we're hopeful for, but also there's that Sun square Jupiter where it's like, you know, don't push it too hard.
Yeah, that zero Cap, zero Aries, especially with Jupiter, man. Talk about pushing it hard.
I mean, it's a little Top Gun, right? Like, fucking just like take it to the danger zone, and it's like, hold on a sec, make sure you know, because the moon could be really positive, like we're gonna fucking do it, and then Mars retrograde's like, hold on, I forgot to put the fuel in, I was so busy, and I got a text message, and and then it's like you get in the jet, and the next thing you know, it's like beep beep, out of fuel. You know, like, oh shit, that's so Sun square Jupiter, so Mars retrograde Gemini with Moon Sag opposed.
Yeah. So,
and the yod that's still happening with the South Node to Chiron and to Mars retrograde, I think that's been the weirdest yod I've ever seen. I just feel like when you see the point of the yod to the South Node, it's almost like, okay, there's definitely stuff to let go of, definitely not stuff to get too attached to, because this would be where you can liberate yourself, I feel, and healing yourself with Mars. And there's something cool about this Mars Chiron both retrograde sextile. I feel like it is a healing part, and I think what we're going to realize is more of the mind that's been fucking our ego's understanding of what's been feeling not good for us or not working, and the illusions that we create of what we're holding on to in those victim places, or in those we think we're over sacrificed, or we're being sacrificed, or you know, like I feel like it's like let go of the illusions, and especially let's rethink these issues in ourselves and not get stuck in the delusion that's really just a scare story or an attachment story that just isn't working anymore. If anything, it's a yod that says, just stop doing what's not working.
Yeah, exactly. Like, stop identifying with the parts that you've tricked yourself of that aren't good enough, that can't do it. Like, you got to let that fear go. Like, this is, you know, there's so much power that we can be finding right now. And I think that's
Venus trying Uranus. When you just said that, I just thought there's so much power
There is.
It's like, but it's in different ways and unpredictable, and doors popping up out of nowhere.
And it's not like we can't, focus our intent on things. Like, we definitely can. It's just like focusing them on the things that really align with who you are. Like, I feel like at this point, more than any time ever, we actually know more about who we are than ever before.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we can identify and attach to that weren't that. So I think that that's the beautiful thing, is it's like, well, why don't you attach to this thing that you really are, that you believe in, that you feel like is the key in your life, instead of focusing on, I don't know, almost like just getting dynamite and blowing the door up because you don't have the key.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting. Vesta's in alignment with the nodes in Pisces, which Vesta is always where we have, our understanding of our commitments to things. It also could be where we find how we find our way out of certain commitments, and it's in Pisces. So especially with this being a solstice, that's always a Capricorn one, with a lot of Capricorn, and Saturn being in still a home sign of Aquarius. I think it's like there's no escaping the responsibilities still. So I think like the idea that responsibilities are going to go away, or we still have to realize we're in a Pluto Capricorn that's going to take this to the very end. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the monetary system that people think is going to be erased in one day when it's not. It's like they're going to push it till the fucking end.
Oh, no. These next 2 years with Pluto going in and out of Aquarius are going to be a trip for people, because we are going to feel like there's this, brink here of like new innovation maybe, or maybe more power to the people. But yeah, Capricorn is not just going to let go, especially with Pluto there. It's going to feel like, ooh, here's some, and then we take it back. Here's some, and we take it back. And it's like, that can mess with people's story or their identification. It's like, don't let that trick you. Like, not now.
No, especially the fact that in this next closing 3 months until we get to Aries, we have Pluto that will finally get to the last degree of Capricorn. And literally 3 days after we reach that solstice, spring equinox, Pluto comes into Aquarius, Saturn right before it goes into Pisces. So it's a major 3 month period of the sun coming to where Jupiter happens to be. So there's like a pot of gold at the end of this 3 month rainbow.
It's crazy.
I don't know why I just thought of it like that.
Right after the solstice, are we actually at zero? When we have the spring equinox?
It's a new moon.
It's a new moon, and we also get another new moon in Aries at 29 degrees, which will be a solar eclipse. Fuck, Aries.
So that's why it really is
popping this year.
It's almost like we can see it, and if we plan accordingly and play our cards responsibly, and we don't push too hard, because if you try to run after a fucking leprechaun, they disappear
with all their lucky charms.
And I think that's the whole pot of gold that's waiting for us, that Jupiter,
like the leprechaun's trying to actually just come up and give you the lucky charms. But can you stay on your path? Can you stay persistent? And can you play this game of reality?
Can you follow the rainbow? That's all you have to do.
Yeah, and you still have to play the game.
And then you can watch that movie Bros.
Yeah? I don't know.
I've never watched it, but it popped up, and Sophie and I watched the fucking trailer, because I didn't know what it was going to be about.
I've never even heard of it.
It's a movie about like the LGBTQ community. And actually, I watched the trailer, and I would definitely not watch it. But I was like, a lot of people talk shit on it, but I was like, if I was in that community, that's kind of like a movie that's all about that community. So I was like, definitely not one I'm going to watch, but hey, they got that movie.
Hey, by all means.
I felt it was very Saturn Aquarius. So I was like, okay, they got their movie. Like, I feel good for them.
Yeah, totally.
Because when I watched Gone with the Wind, the first African-American lead supporting actress was Mommy, the woman who was like one of the house workers, the main house worker. And so I just thought of it kind of like that in many ways, where it was just like, I could see how racist people back in 1939 must have been like, oh, can't believe a black woman, got a supporting role actress and got the Academy Award. And I've been thinking a lot lately about things and how we're just seeing one thing about culture is, geez, like there's stuff in other countries. Like if you were to bring cultures of Indonesia right now, where they're saying you can't have sex, even if you're straight or whatever, right? And you're not married, and you're to bring those things into America, or you're to bring those into the West, or you're to bring in some of these other Chinese stuff. Like, I look at something like a movie like that people are losing themselves over, and we watched the trailer, and I was like, I laugh because I'm like, that's definitely, I don't resonate. But I was also thinking very Aquarian at the moment, like, it's Pluto Aquarius coming in. That's the thing. You can't control with Pluto about to come into Aquarius either, how the world's going to be or how cultures and how, it's like, you don't want to become the old person here who's like, those damn young knicker snappers and they're doing all this shit that I don't want. Every generation goes through that.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't believe they're listening to rock and roll with Elvis G, man. They don't know their fucking good ass classical music. They don't know good jazz. It's like, same shit to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't understand it, or I don't understand the teeny bop
That's
shit
the beauty
today.
Of Aquarius too.
I
It's
know.
like, we don't have to understand what everybody else is doing. We don't.
Yeah, and instead of freaking out about it, I think you just kind of go.
Scorpio is almost having people like want to understand everybody's deep shit, their psychology behind everything. Like, it doesn't.
People are going to throw things out, and it's whether or not how many people respond. Like, I remember, what was that movie when it was it was Heath Ledger, and when he played a gay cowboy?
Oh, Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember when that came out, I was like, well, if people respond to that movie, they will. I didn't like lose. Nobody lost their minds about that movie.
No.
Like, they lose their minds about movies today.
Yeah.
And that's another Jupiter Neptune thing ending, is I think just keep Jupiter and Aries, Sun and Capricorn. Like, what's your story? What's your destiny? What's your line? Just keep going that direction.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up the rainbow thing. It's like, what's your rainbow? Rainbows are not just associated with LGBTQ. Like, it's everybody's associated with a rainbow. We see them every day in life. Some people say, oh, they stole that from God because that's what God gave Noah after Noah's Ark. And that's what the Bible says. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it's from the Bible or the LGBTQ fucking people associated with the rainbow. Everybody's got a fucking rainbow. Or if it's Lucky Charms, or if it's fucking Irish people, or if it's just, it was a rainy day and I saw a beautiful rainbow. Or the prism of the rainbow that I see on especially acid when I was at Pink Floyd concerts. Mm-hmm. Or on the fucking Dark Side of the Moon album. I don't care. It's the same shit. We're all trying to find the road to where we're trying to go. And if you stay on that road, not care about everybody else's road, but still be compassionate. Like, you're not trying to go against other people's road. I think that's going to be where.
And I think that was part of the lesson of Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces. Like, can you have compassion for every unique soul? Whether you agree or disagree or believe what they believe or don't. Can we see how connected we all are? I mean, we're all going to have different disagreements. We're all going to do something different here, but we all came from the same place. We all are, trying to just experience another aspect of this reality. So if we can just give more compassion and understanding to that with saying, yeah, well, that's them. I don't resonate.
Right.
I'm not going to focus my story and my intent on that.
Right.
But you know what? If you want to take that weird approach to life, I get it. There's probably some bigger reason for it. You got to take that back up to God. And I'm glad you're taking that back up to God, because I don't want to.
I mean, that's how Chinese astrology is based. The rat won because it worked with the ox, and they both just stayed on one. They didn't care what anybody else was doing. And that's why, the tiger, which we're in, which is third, right? It's so strong and so powerful, but water, example, we're in a water tiger year, is the worst because it's having to sit in the water and wait for the right moment to strike, or cats don't like water. Right? So, but the ox doesn't mind water. It's like used to pull on the Oregon Trail and you forge the river. That rat was on top of that ox. Forge the motherfucking river.
Let's go.
Let's go. I don't give a fuck about what they're doing. The rat was up there like, come on, motherfucker. And then the ox is like, okay, I'm going.
They're building the boat. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. It's like, Or remember, oh, wait for the ferry. Like that's the pig. Like, I'll wait for the ferry. But like that's the interesting part of this sun. Well, these two cardinal 0 points that's an exact square, 7 seconds.
That's crazy.
And it's actually an approaching square, which it's not a separating.
Makes it even stronger.
It makes it stronger. Yeah. But I think, like looking back at some other charts, like looking at 2021, I thought that was crazy because it was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction.
I know.
And it was Mercury and the sun, although Mercury had just passed the sun, if I remember right. Let's look at the... Mercury was fast, yeah. So Mercury passed the sun in Sag, and then they both entered into Capricorn after. But that was also when, we were seeing Chiron still at the beginning. So there was a minor square there. And 2020 was... Jupiter-Saturn kind of taking the whole thing over, but it also was a semi-sextile to the Sun and Mercury. So it's kind of weird because there was a lot happening there.
I think it's interesting that Mars is retrograded over where the North Node was transiting this year. So much of what we've, learned or come to some kind of this truth or understanding within ourselves about everything that's taken place since 2020 was so important, and this Mars retrograde is helping to identify more with what that is. And I think that can go a long way. We've accumulated a lot of facts about ourselves.
Well, think of the 3 months that happened from December 21st, 2020 to March 20th, 2021. That was the shot being initiated, and it was... I could see where a lot of people thought the technological advance of Jupiter-Saturn was like, oh, this is it.
It's even crazy.
But that's the same way that people took Jupiter-Saturn in 2000 at 22 of Taurus was .coms, right?
Yeah.
And at that moment, everybody invested and so many people lost all their money. That was also crypto's big boom too, right? Was that those months, that cycle. Pluto. And that was Mars square Pluto, yeah. And that was Mars after the retrograde. That was Mars still trying to come out of the shadow. If I was right, Mars was, still in shadow, slow, yeah. And it was also Moon, Neptune. And so, that 3 months was definitely like, are you sure emotionally? You know what you're
Mercury
doing?
Came over there to retrograde in that space?
Exactly. That prior year, or that year in February was the Mercury retrograde, 12 degrees to back. So it was like really weird to me because that was a weird. It kind of is a good way to help relate to people of like, look at how the Capricorn really solstice does bring on, especially because all the planets happen to be turning, most of them all direct usually. And we will see that in the next 3 months. There'll be that moment of all planets direct. So,
Yeah, we're even going to see the first aspect from Jupiter and Saturn when Jupiter comes into Taurus later this year and sextiles Saturn. So we finally get a 30-degree separation from that conjunction.
And what's the weirdest is the 2019 one, which was right before the conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, Sun, Mercury. But it was also the solar eclipse with Jupiter. So this is Jupiter's first quarter square from the Sun-Jupiter point that was days later on Christmas Eve. And it was also the Sun square Chiron, but it was also the Sun trine Uranus. So that was us actually coming into COVID in the pandemic. And it's weird that now Jupiter's here. So it's almost kind of like this 3 months is going to be definitely getting to the understanding of what the fuck happened during the 3 months that happened from December 21st in that solstice with the Sun squaring Jupiter now and Jupiter getting ready to square the Sun-Jupiter conjunction that happened during that solstice time.
I would say a lot of truth is going to be identified.
Yeah. And notice how that was a strong Mars. That 2020 was a strong Mars, and now we're in a Mars retrograde.
So now we almost have to really choose, are we going to identify with the truth?
Right.
Or not?
Yeah, we have to really look deep into it.
I feel like it's all going to be laid out
And then the 2017 one was Sun, Saturn, and we have not stopped this Saturn in its home signs of Capricorn and Aquarius since this, you know, it was actually like December 2019, 2 days prior that Saturn had ingressed into Capricorn, but that solstice really brought it upon us. And that was Mars again at strong in Scorpio. And so this is definitely a solstice that's not normal. You know, although this one was, I remember this one being like, okay, this is going to be a fucking long story.
Yeah.
And it was actually the day that this happened. I was here, just got the keys to this studio, and we were painting all the walls black. First thing I did before we moved, you know, and it's like, wow, that was a long time ago. It was 5 years ago, fucking. But that was another weird chart. Because Saturn was there. So the fact that, you know, sure, there's no major conjunction to the sun right now, except the new moon that's about to happen. But this was a Saturn. And then going back to 2014, Venus at the exact degree it's at for this solstice, because that was the same Venus point of 8 years. And I think this one was interesting because it's the closest relatable with the moon in Sag, a dark moon, a sun, and Venus in the exact same position, but Venus was square Uranus. And I remember that being a really weird transition. That was also Saturn that was going to go back into Sag and then come back into Scorpio. So that it's relatable, but it's not. It won't be the same. We're actually moving into these new things where this was, you're going to kind of move in, but have to come back. Where we're moving in and Saturn's not coming back. Because if the sun's in Capricorn, there is something to say about looking at the Saturn aspects. And it's like, at least we know in the next 3 months, Saturn's going into Pisces and won't come back to Aquarius. This was, Saturn's going to come back to Scorpio again.
This one's weird with Pluto because we know it's going into Aquarius and we know it's coming back.
Yeah.
This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.